A New Deal. Thank you, Arlene, for laying out the broad theme. Today, we want to look at a centerpiece of that New Deal, the rebuilding of America, the public investment that we need that is so vital to our future. The Campaign for America's Future today releases a stunning report that Eric Lotke has done. I believe you all have it in your packets, on America's investment deficit. It details relentlessly what all of us know from just reading the newspapers or walking through our cities. From the bridge in Minneapolis to the levees in New Orleans to the water system in New York, America is literally falling apart. From new energy to affordable lifetime learning, we are failing to make the public investments vital to sustaining an economy that is both just to its citizens and competitive in a global economy. This public investment deficit is about to get much worse as America descends in what threatens to be a very deep and long economic downturn. Businesses have been shedding jobs for 10 months. 1 in 4 companies now project future layoffs. State governments face, for fiscal 2010, a $100 billion operating budget deficit with the mandate to balance their budgets in that same year. They will be cutting back on aid to colleges, on employees, on services, on key repairs, and postponing support for cities. Cities face a collapse of property tax revenues. They are beginning to lay off teachers, police, shut down libraries, postpone sewage repairs. The new administration and the new Congress understand we need a major Main Street recovery program, deficit funded, over the next 2 years to get this economy going again. We're not talking now temporary, targeted, timely, and timid. We are talking about a recovery plan that is substantial, strategic, and sustained. Substantial in that it has to be big enough to lift this economy at a time when consumer demand is collapsing, when the states and localities are cutting budgets, when export markets are plummeting with a global recession. It has to be coordinated with Europe and Japan and China, but it will surely have to be at the level of $450 to $500 billion, not my figure, that's Goldman Sachs's figure, in order to get this economy going. That provides the opportunity to start making a down payment on our public investment deficit. As Arlene said, with green jobs, with investment in new energy and conservation, we can put people to work. With investment in infrastructure and rebuilding roads and schools, we can create jobs. We can provide money to states and localities to avoid devastating layoffs and budget cuts. We can use this down payment to start to make the investments we need long-term for our economy. So the stimulus, the recovery plan should not just be substantial, it should be strategic. It should not hesitate to make investments in the items that we need long-term, not simply in short-term efforts. Public investment produces more jobs per dollar than tax cuts. We did the tax rebates last summer. According to economists, about 20% of them were spent. The rest were saved or used to pay down debt. They produced a blip of demand and had no effect in terms of turning around this recession. Public investment money is more likely to be spent, and it is more likely to be spent here, creating jobs here, rather than on Walmart gift certificates that create jobs in China. So substantial, strategic, and sustained. Once this economy gets going, we will not have finished reducing the public investment deficit that we have. We have to find a way to finance sustained public investments over the long term. That will take new priorities at the federal level, and as part of that, we ought to make a centerpiece of this effort, making sense, finally, with our budget process. Today, we will detail the notion of a public investment bank or a capital account at the federal level. which will allow the federal government to do what every family, what every city, what every state and every business does, which is separate operating costs, which have to be balanced, with capital investments, which should be financed and paid over time. And by separating those out, we can put greater attention to and focus on the investments that are vital to our future as we finance them. So this is important because when we get out of this recession, assuming we do get out of it, we're going to go back to the real emphasis on balancing the budget, and we're going to come back from very big deficits necessarily. So pay-go will be the order of the day. We will not do any programs unless we pay for them. But any system of pay-go has to have in it either a capital account or a public investment account that allows the financing of public investments that are crucial to our future. It is that mix that we have to have in our minds as we go forward. Now, this country faces an extraordinary challenge. We will have new leadership and new energy and new hope coming in January. But we have to make a dramatic change from what President-elect Obama called the failed economic philosophy of the past decades. For too long, we have chosen to cut taxes on the wealthy and starve public investments. And the assumption was that the wealthy would invest that money in ways that would generate more jobs, and the public government would waste the money on bridges to nowhere. And that was the matrix in which we have done politics now for over 30 years. Now we see the results of that, which is too much of the money that went to the wealthy was wasted in speculation and gambling and greed. We've watched as more than $10 trillion in housing and stock values has evaporated in thin air as the bubble that they built burst. And at the same time, we're left with an economy that is literally falling apart and that has failed to make the investments vital to any advanced industrialized country if it wants to sustain a high-wage, prosperous, middle-class society in a global economy. So now as we turn and rebuild from the rubble of their failure, we have to make this long-term change in priorities. So today we are going to focus on this part, this centerpiece of the New Deal. We're going to look at America's investment deficit and its effects. We're going to take another look with Jeremy Irons from the Economic Policy Institute on why public investment is so much more effective than tax cuts and why they are vital now and their long-term and short-term economic effects. We're going to have Representative Rosa DeLauro and Representative Ellison talking about the investment bank notions that they have introduced in terms of legislation. We will have a couple experts look at the capital account and how that would work. At lunch, we'll have a keynote speech from Jamie Galbraith, the noted economist who has been campaigning on the need to make vital public investments for a very long time. And then we'll conclude by looking at public opinion with Stan Greenberg and new opinion research on where the public is in this and what kinds of obstacles we're faced, what kinds of opportunities we have. It was Representative Lee who said, "This is our time." And I think that is right. We face a forbidding challenge and a remarkable opportunity. We have to get this right. We have to change course. And at the centerpiece of that, we'll be figuring out how to make the public investments we need to sustain the prosperous private economy moving forward.